Alright, ladies and gentlemen, first off, this is how you do a horror movie. The Babadook is a great example of how a basic, vague idea put in place, and then with very subtle visual hints throughout the movie, it can be a great experience. To quickly summarize the movie, I'll kind of use two separate films that are very similar to give you an idea of what it is. Guillermo del Toro's Mama and We Need to Talk About Kevin. Both of those films have very stark similarities. It's just weird talking about the movie. I've been waiting for this movie to come out for a very long time, and it's an Australian independent film that got most of its funding through Kickstarter. So it's not a big budget horror film, and I'm very happy that it got as big a release as it did. But the Babadook is so simple yet so good, and there's no real jump scares. There's no cliched pieces of just junk horror that most American horror movies do. It's just ridiculous. I want more people to watch this movie and actually understand how easy it is to make a horror film, but the difficult part is putting all of the simple things together. I mean, the best thing about this movie is the sound design. Just the audio in the movie makes the film. If it didn't have all those weird sound effects, the ambient noise, the weird Babadook, voicing, when you watch the movie you'll understand. Also, the set design, super simple, and that's what I really love about this movie and movies like it. A lot of set pieces makes it kind of cluttered. A lot of times when you have a movie that has tons of different sets, it kind of puts a longevity on the film. It makes it look like there's a lot of places, there's a lot of traveling, a lot of time has passed. When you have a movie that is in one house or three separate places, in the Babadook it's the first floor, that's the living room and the kitchen, and then you have the basement, and then the top level with the two bedrooms. And you see it over and over and over again. It gives you a claustrophobic feeling, and it kind of lulls you into a false sense of, I wouldn't say security, but just commonplace. You get comfortable. You see something so many times, your brain starts to not pay attention. And it helps with adding in those little subtle details that freak people out, or those little nuances of like, hey, was that moved before, or what's behind her, or different things. The other thing I noticed in the movie is the overall theme of blue. It's the reason why I wanted to do the video behind this red curtain, which kind of looks pink. But the whole movie is themed in blue. The whole house is painted blue. There's a blue blanket that's seen a lot in the movie. A lot of blue overarch tones. And blue really is a comfortable color. Every time you see it, you get just chilled out. And the darker blacks and the reds, it makes it much more of an impact when you see blood or the blackness of the Babadook character. And it helps. A lot of ways you do cinematography and just, principal photography, you can make it so much better. You don't have to have effects. And there's a lot of practical effects in this movie, which just ups the bar. If you can see it and it's real instead of seeing a computer-generated image, it's pretty awesome. The best thing to take away from this movie is Essie Davis, the lead female character, the mother. She's going to have a very good career. Hopefully. Damn good actress. couldn't have picked a better person to cast in this role. She looks like Jessica Lange from American Horror Story. American Horror Story. American Horror Story. But she's so good. I mean, most of the movie she's crying. You know, that's part of the reason why I kind of compare it to We Need to Talk About Kevin, because the lead that Tilda Swinton had in that movie, it sets the bar, because you're the person on the screen for the most amount of time, and your emotions are seen in full spectrum. I mean, you have crying your eyes out, and the fear and the pain coming through your eyes, the vocals when you're screaming, to trying to put on a fake face and be okay to people. You know, you're showing 3 to 4 different expressions at the same time. It's really difficult, and fucking Essie Davis does it awesomely. I really hope she gets some really good roles in the future. I mean, she steals the movie. It's just awesome to watch her performance. And just how her character changes from the grieving mother. Her story is really awful, but she's just so good. And her transformation into this evil, just evilness. I mean, she's possessed. I don't want to ruin the movie, but it's awesome. You're kind of stealing my frame there, bud. You should back up a little bit. The kid in the movie, he's kind of awkward. He's awkward enough to be weird, and you kind of like him, sort of, but not really. He's kind of there to be a thorn in the side. I mean, again, like We Need to Talk About Kevin, he's not as suave as Ezra Miller, because he's just so young and awkward. But he's the saving grace of the movie. You know, he's that anchor that hardly ever changes, where your other character is all over the place. I bring up Guillermo del Toro's Mama because it's the same shooting style. You know, halfway through both movies, you actually see the bad guy, the boogeyman. You actually experience the horror halfway through the movie. You see what you're afraid of. Most American horror movies, they'll beat around the bushes. They'll make it seem more scary than it actually is without actually seeing what you're afraid of. And sometimes it's a good technique, sometimes it's a scapegoat. But you actually see the Babadook, which makes it more scary. It's a weird way of doing a movie. You know, instead of sandbagging and keeping your hand close to you, you're actually showing your cards, and it makes it more entertaining. The best comment I can make about this movie is it freaked me the hell out. I'll be completely honest with you. I have not felt the way I have watching this movie since when I watched the American remake of The Ring. I was sitting with my feet off of a bed when I was watching The Ring, and I was young enough to where my feet wouldn't touch the floor. And the movie just creeped me out so bad that I actually watched the whole movie with my feet higher off the floor so that it wasn't going past, you know, the space underneath the bed. And watching this movie made me do the same thing. I'm sitting Indian style now, and I was doing the same thing when I was watching the movie. And it's something about that. You know, I've watched tons of movies. That's what I do. I'm 25 years old. I shouldn't be afraid of the boogeyman underneath the bed. But that's what the Babadook did. It's good enough to where the sound design and the visuals, the placement of certain objects, the importance of having cast that just convey what is going on. It's awesome. It's a very good combination of stuff. I love this movie. I mean, I waited waited so long for this movie, and I'm not disappointed. So happy. Rating this movie, you're just falling asleep. Rating this movie, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. I really would. I'm not saying that because I'm biased, but I'm saying it because there's nothing wrong with this movie. Your supporting cast is in there long enough to where you have separate people to look at, but there's more stuff going on. Essie's, I can't remember her name, Angela, I think was her character's name. She has a sister, and the sister's there just enough to where it puts pressure on the family. It's more examples of how the little boy's changing. And then you have the neighbor, who's always inquisitive. They're the innocent bystander that could or could not be injured. They're the warm-hearted person that is the reality. Inside the house or the area, the set of where the movie's placed, it's very chaotic. And you need something on the outside, as like a Venn diagram of evil, to remind you that it is real. You do have an innocent person, to make sure that nothing is going all bonkers in your head. The set design is nothing abnormal. It's just most of the movie was set with blue around it to make you feel calm, and then the bad stuff happens. There's really nothing wrong with the movie. The editing was on point. Man, I don't want to give anything away, but there's certain parts of the movie that if the editing wasn't there, you wouldn't get nervous. You wouldn't feel uncomfortable. And it's just something so unique about film editing and the different things you can do with double shotting a scene and quickly changing the point of view of the camera, and zooming in and then cutting to something that's far away and keeping that distance every time you see something else. It's very disorienting, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. You're in your house watching a movie and you're still like, man, what's happening next? Ooh, I was actually like leaning away from the TV when something was foreshadowing that something was going to pop out. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's a very good movie. You should watch it. 5 out of 5, The Babadook. That's BABAD 00K, whatever, O's. I feel so giddy. I'm happy that I finally watched it. Please try and find this movie and enjoy it like I did. And support Australian films. I mean, I'm pretty happy about it. Korean films I like. French and German films not so much. I like Spanish films. Yeah, I don't really have anything more to say. Odin, do you have anything to say, or you just want to lay down? Yeah, you're tired? Well, and yeah, as you can see, it's broad daylight outside, and the movie freaked me out. That's another thing I wanted to say. But this is a very long video. Thank you for watching. If you want me to review any other movies, please suggest them. I'll watch them when I can. Thank you very much.